What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Mike, and I know in the title there's nothing about guns, so this is not a gun video. I did wanted to do a video of something a little different to add to the channel. Hopefully you guys like it. Now this is a video that I've been wanting to do for quite some time now. This is actually how I wanted to start my YouTube channel, but at the time I didn't have them. And it was an old hobby that I used to have. This goes way back to when I was 8 years old, so I'm gonna just give a little bit of a story time to how I got into this stuff. So this all started when I was 8 years old, but like throughout being a kid, I've always had like animals. You know, I've always had a love for animals. When I was around 8, 9 years old, I've always had the dream of owning my own pet store because I just loved animals, specifically reptiles. But so when so when I was 8 years old, I had bought my first lizard, which was one of those anole lizards. I bought it from a pet store that I'm not gonna name because, well, I bought it a week later, it died, and that was one of those things that every time I bought from that specific store, they would die in a week or two. But anyways, I bought the anole lizards there, and then a month later I bought 4 of them. Those actually lived for a really long time. But I gotta say, without any disrespect, I really don't like anole lizards. They're like one of the worst lizards they even have, honestly. No specific reason, but just don't like them. But after owning the anole lizard for, I want to say about maybe a year, that's when I started growing everything. And if you guys don't notice, I am part white and Hispanic. My mom's Hispanic, my dad's white. So for those that know Hispanic parents, they're not a big fan of animals, or they just don't show that they're a fan of animals, but they don't like having animals in the house. That's on my case. So it was kind of hard convincing my mom, about letting me own these reptiles and stuff like that, mainly because she didn't think I was going to be able to take care of them. And she was right. That's the reason why I currently don't own any of them anymore. But anyways, after the anole lizards, I believe I bought 2 parakeets. Now those parakeets, I've always liked birds. I mean, they can talk, whatever. Not really great as parrots can, but parakeets can try to talk. But after owning them for a couple months, I want to say, not too long, maybe like 2-3 months, that's when I bought some, I believe I got some freshwater fish. And at this time I was probably about 10, 11 years old, somewhere around there. I was actually doing a lot of my research online and everything, learning about the animals, what they need to survive and everything. So the saltwater fish did live for a good while. And then I got saltwater fish. Now saltwater fish was almost the best thing I've ever owned. The only thing I didn't like about them is all the maintenance work and you always had to be on point with them. You know, you had to make sure everything was going perfect. But yeah, I owned those. Those are really cool. And after the saltwater fish, I owned I got me, can't really remember. Now this might not be in correct order, but it's been a while, but I will be listing everything that I owned. So after that, I think I purchased a Chinese water dragon. Now the Chinese water dragon I bought from the same pet store as the anole lizards. I don't know what was wrong with it. I think the Chinese water dragon was already at its limits. It was like full grown. I mean, at this time it was almost like a juvenile iguana at this size. And well, I noticed he didn't really move that much, didn't really eat that much, but yeah, he only lived a month. Never got that kind of lizard again. Would like to get one, but probably not going to get one. But after that, I moved up to getting 2 green iguanas. Now the 2 green iguanas, I didn't really, well, I mean, I was told how big they got, but I didn't really think about it, because when I got the iguanas, I was around 13, 14 years old. I didn't care about 6 foot long. So I got those 2 from the flea market from a guy that actually breeds them his own. He has the female and the male. And every so many couple years he'll breed them and sell them there. But he hasn't sold any in the last couple years, so I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't do it anymore, or one of his lizards died. But I bought 2 of them for $20 each. At the pet store at the time, I believe they were selling them for $50, $60 each. So $40 for 2 green iguanas, and I had a homemade built cage that my uncle built for me. So after the green iguana, now those were amazing. I mean, one of my favorite lizards of all time. It's a little bit of a controversial thing. People think they're great pets, people think they're not great pets. I will say that you do need to know what you're doing with them because they have their moments. So after the green iguana, I went out and got me a bearded dragon. That's what I got after that. A fancy bearded dragon that I bought from a really good pet store that I totally recommend. However, they're not open anymore, which is a bummer because if they were still open, I would get anything I need from them. Because they actually personally breed their animals and they work with their animals every day. Every time you go in the pet store, one of the employees are holding one of the reptiles. And they specifically sold, they did have freshwater but not a lot, but they specifically sold snakes and lizards. That's really what they sold a lot. But very great pet store, but they're not open anymore. But I did get my and their prices were a lot better than other. Like the fancy bearded dragon, I believe they went for like 60, 70, even 80 at the time. I gotta say at the time because now everything's going up. That's why. So around 60, 70 at the time, and they sold me the fancy bit, and it was a baby bearded dragon, so they sold it to me for 30, so that could be why it was a baby. But very beautiful bearded dragon. And after that, after the bearded dragon, I don't really know what I owned. Oh, I do know what I owned after that. After the bearded dragon, I had bought, now this reptile was almost the hardest reptile to convince my parents, both of them at this time, which was the ball python. Yes, I bought a ball python. Very terrified of snakes actually, but I wanted to, you know, change that. I've always thought they were cool animals. They looked really cool, seemed really cool, but I always had that little tiny fear in me about owning one. Now my friend bought it from that same pet store I told you about that I got the bearded from, and well, he sold it to me for 20, 30, 40 bucks with everything. I mean, the full enclosure and the snake, because he said that his mom didn't want him owning it anymore inside the house, so he sold it to me. Now, before he sold it to me, I had to convince my mom, which took me about 3 weeks of convincing. For some reason, I'm really good at convincing people to say yes. I'm telling you right now, to convince her, I was like, snakes is a big thing, you know. It's kind of hard to convince someone to let you own a snake or even hold a snake. So, I was literally every day asking her nicely if she would let me get the snake, and obviously every day it would be a hard no. So with that being said, I would do any chore around the house, trying to look like the good kid here and hopefully change her mind. I did that for 3 weeks straight, and finally I was told yes. So I got the snake home. Very great snake, very responsive eater, I would say. I had no issues. At one point it was becoming my favorite animal because of how calm it was. Never struck at me, never tried to bite me, never tried to squeeze me, never did anything negative like that. It was always a really cool pet. Unlike the iguana, I mean, the iguana had his moments, like I said. I mean, he would try to smack you with his tail. And the bearded dragon, for some reason, was a little feisty at sometimes. But every animal is different, you know. Every animal is different. So, where everything started going downhill was after the snake, after owning the snake. And so, with that being said, at this time I owned the snake for maybe 2 to 3 months, and it was feeding time. So when I woke up, I went to the animal room where my brother's staying right now, because we used to share a room at the time, and the other room that he's in now was the room that was like our game room. We had all the pets in there. That's what the room was for, all the pets. So it was feeding time, so I woke up, went to the room, fed all the animals, turned the lights on, whatever, all that, made sure they had water, missed the cages and stuff that needed humidity. And for the snake, I had to go to the pet store to go get the mouse. I fed him live mouse all the time, never frozen, none of that fake stuff. So I went to the pet store, got that. When I came back, and this is something I heard from a professional, which I mean, I think it's kind of true, but it might not be. I don't know. I don't know how true it is. But when it comes to feeding a pet snake, it's best for you to take the snake out and put him in a different enclosure to feed him. So every time you open the cage, he doesn't believe that he's getting fed again, and he might potentially strike at you. I don't know how true that is, but I just went with it and it worked for me. The snake never actually struck at me, not even once. So yeah, went in there, set the mouse down, went over, opened the cage, looked around, don't see him. Oh, he's probably in his little cave. Lift the cave up, and I'll tell you right now, my heart sunk to my stomach. I could not find him anywhere in that cage. I looked under the carpeting because for his substrate, I didn't have substrate in there. It was just green carpeting, very like a 1/4 inch thick, very smooth top. And, you know, that's what I use for his bedding and everything. Yeah, I couldn't find him anywhere. And I looked for maybe 2 hours before letting my dad know I lost the snake. The snake's not in his house. It's not there. He freaked out. I did not want to tell my mom. That's for sure. So we looked together for another hour or two, and finally I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to let her know. I have to tell her. So I told her. She didn't freak out as much as we did, but she told me immediately that we need to find the snake. Well, let's just say the snake spent 24 hours out of its enclosure, because we did not find him that day. Come the next day, around 7, 8 in the morning, I hear my dad calling my name. Michael, get your snake. He's behind the refrigerator. So we found the snake. That's where he was. Fed him. Everything was great. 2 days later, that's when I decided this snake is getting big. I mean, he was at a year old at this time, and like I said, I'm still had a little fear about snakes. So he was getting large, and I was like, you know what? I'm working now. It's kind of hard to take care of all these animals, even though the snake was the easiest one to take care of. He was the first one to go. No, actually, the first one to go was a parakeet, because, well, they died. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened. They just both died. I had them checked out, and I mean, everything seemed to be fine, but they just died. I believe the parakeets were maybe 5 years old at the time, so I don't really know what happened there. But after that, saltwater fish died. Now that one I was very, very upset about, because I didn't know what happened. I mean, one day, I mean, I checked on them because I turned the lights off, obviously, at nighttime. Everything looked fine. Next morning, they're all just upside down dead. Checked the saltwater levels, everything looked perfectly fine. They were just dead. So after that, that's when the snake, I took it to the pet store, gave it back to them, and bearded dragon, I believe, was next. Got rid of him. Female iguana was getting sick. It was developing some type of bone disease that they get. And well, eventually she got better. And when she got better, I mean, she lived for another like 6 months, and then she died. The male iguana lived and lived and lived, and got rid of him as well. Gave him away. Gave the bearded away. What does that leave? I think that was all the animals. Oh, and at the time I had 4 dogs, until one of my neighbors decided to call the police and say I had more than 2 dogs outside, because where I live, you're only supposed to have 2 dogs outside. If you have inside dogs, it don't matter how many you have. But outside, only 2. I had 4. So what do? I let them take the husky. I had a white husky that I've always wanted, but I didn't have it when it was little. I bought it. Well, I didn't buy it. Someone gave it to me when it was 2 years old. The reason I got rid of it, it was never getting along with none of the dogs. Very aggressive towards the other dogs, so that's the first one to go. Next one was my golden retriever, which I had that dog when I was 5 years old. First dog I ever owned. Now, the reason why getting rid of the dog was because she was on her last legs. Kind of hard to say that. Yeah, she was at the time, I believe, 16, 17 years old. Bad arthritis, all that bad stuff. I was about to say good stuff, but that's all bad. Yeah, so it was time for her now, at the time. So I left my favorite dogs, my pit bulls. The one I have now, and the other one, well, the other one unfortunately got hit by a car. That was my favorite dog. But anyways, that was that. Now it's time to show you the new enclosure for this lizard that's going to be going into this cage. Might be today, might not, because I'm going to go to the pet store today because I still need to get a water bowl and some calcium stuff. And if they have the lizard that I'm looking for, we might get it. Now, what lizard am I going with? Iguana. I'm getting another iguana. Male iguana, hopefully. But I want to get a blue iguana. That's because the last one I had 2 green ones. I want a blue one, and I'm only getting one this time because, well, I didn't think it through. 6 foot long. 2 of them. You need a whole house to keep them in. So, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the cage. Now, I might go with a green iguana because I might get to the point where I don't want to wait for a blue iguana to pop up. There is a website I can order it from, but I'm still not comfortable with ordering live animals online, you know what I mean? I mean, I've had packages come in the mail that was in terrible shape. But anyways, here is going to be the cage for the iguana, all built. Now if you guys wanted to see me build a cage for reptiles, let me know down in the comments and I will do a video on that, because well, eventually I'm going to need another cage bigger than this. This is decent for baby iguana. Go ahead and open this. Now I probably do need to get a handle for the top because this is the door too, even though I'm not going to use it, so the handle will probably just be for looks. But you know, we got the heat lamp. That one's on too. That's the night light. I need to get another bulb, like a 75 watt for that one. That one's over there is 100. UVB there. Got this door in the front. Now here you got this little slab right there. Now that concrete right there is actually handmade. I didn't want to purchase it at the store, such as this one right here. This at the store, something about this size, was roughly about $50–$60. And I built that and that over there for maybe like $5. So that's that. Came out pretty nice, you know. Now this is stone that they use on outside of a building or something. I just got that from a job site, so yeah. Artificial plants. I kind of have a little cluttered in here, but I think it'll be fine because he still has some space down in here. You can come in here. This is probably where his water bowl might be going. And I was thinking maybe the food bowl over here. Yeah, I think that'd be good. So yeah, you got some plants there. Another little ledge over there. Branch all the way up there. I think it's a pretty decent cage. Got some logs there. Oh, and I got this humidifier as well. I noticed it doesn't really do that well with really working with humidity. Let's see. Got it coming out of there. Goes into there. I think it turned out pretty nice. I did have to get rid of my TV, but I don't even use the TV really, to be honest with you. But guys, that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys like this kind of content of what's gonna be upcoming. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time.